Hey friends, welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido, and yes, there is boondocking on the beach in New Mexico. So come along. We spent 2 full days traveling to southern New Mexico from our last stop in the Wichita Mountains of southwestern Oklahoma. We normally don't make a weekly jump that far, but there's absolutely nothing out across most of the Texas Panhandle and eastern New Mexico, save for a few sites that we've already visited, like Palo Duro Canyon and Lake Meredith, or spots that we couldn't get into, like Caprock Canyons. We almost needed a third travel day too. I'm always reluctant to try to find a boondocking site in the dark, and we were already cutting it close when on the afternoon of our drive's second day, we encountered an unexpected road closure following a fatal single-vehicle motorcycle accident in a construction zone on US Route 60 in New Mexico. Authorities estimated the closure time at 2 hours, but a detour would have taken 3, so most folks, including us, opted to wait it out. Our deepest condolences to the victim and his family. It took 2.5 hours for authorities to complete their investigation and reopen the highway, but we nevertheless managed to squeak into Elephant Butte just before sundown. Like many rivers in the American Southwest, runoff in the Rio Grande Basin is limited and varies widely from year to year. It alternates between devastating droughts and destructive floods. In the 1880s, farmers in New Mexico's Rio Grande Valley began to complain that they were not receiving a fair appropriation of river water, and the Elephant Butte Dam was constructed about 130 miles downstream of Albuquerque as part of the Rio Grande Project authorized by Congress in 1902 to provide power and irrigation to south central New Mexico and western Texas. Construction began in 1911 and was completed in 1916. Behind the dam was created Elephant Butte Reservoir, the largest man-made lake in New Mexico at 40 miles long, with over 200 miles of shoreline, named for this volcanic core that is now an island when water levels are high. It's said to have the shape of an elephant lying on its side. Today, the lake is popular for boating, fishing, camping, and other waterside and waterborne recreation. Much of the land surrounding the lake comprises Elephant Butte Lake State Park, the largest in New Mexico, operated by the state under agreement with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. A unique feature of Elephant Butte Lake State Park is the ability to boondock, or dispersed camp in your RV, tent, or boat in many areas, including on some of the long sandy beaches along the shoreline. We love beach boondocking, so that's exactly what we've done, at an elevation of 4,527 feet. Primitive camping permits here cost $8 per night and includes trash disposal, pit toilets, and access to the state park for fresh water and a dump station. For most of our week here, we've been the absolute only people on this entire beach at Long Point. There were 2 other rigs here when we arrived, but they departed the following day. Daytime temperatures during our mid-October visit are running above normal in the mid-80s. Overnight lows, however, have been dipping into the mid-50s for great sleeping weather as plentiful nearby coyotes serenade us at night. And shockingly, for an area with such a windy reputation, it's been dead calm here for us all week. It's been virtually impossible to keep Zoe dry and sand-free this week, but that's okay, for she's quite literally having a ball. The firmness of the sand here varies widely. Some areas are hard-packed while others are soft and deep. It's therefore essential that you choose your access carefully, for it's entirely possible to get stuck if you don't. Camping is always better with friends. We've been joined for a few days by our ski friends Frank and Catherine from Ithaca, New York, whom we haven't had the pleasure of seeing for 17 years. Along with their 3 dogs. If campgrounds are more your thing, the state park also features 173 developed campsites in multiple campgrounds, 144 of which have water and electric, and 8 that have full hookups. When we come back, following a quick ad break, we'll bring you to the uniquely named City of Truth or Consequences, home to many local hot springs, as well as kayaking on Elephant Butte Reservoir, visiting a local historical site deep in the Chihuahuan Desert, and dining with friends in the world's chili capital of Hatch. So stay tuned. Often abbreviated as T or C, the City of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, sits along the Rio Grande, just downstream of the Elephant Butte Dam. The area is noted for its hot springs, and in the late 1930s was home to 40 different natural hot spring spots. In fact, the original name of the city was Hot Springs until 1950, when NBC radio host Ralph Edwards promised to broadcast his popular show, Truth or Consequences, from the first town that renamed itself after the show. The town of Hot Springs accepted that offer on March 31st, 1950. And the following night, Edwards fulfilled his promise, and the city gained its unique name. Edwards continued to revisit the town during the first weekend in May for the next 50 years. That weekend eventually became known as Fiesta, which is still celebrated today with parades, beauty contests, and more. The city's Ralph Edwards Park now bears the radio host's name. Today, 10 spa facilities maintain hot spring operations in town, all within a few blocks of one another. Perhaps the most famous of those, Riverbend Hot Springs, offers both public pool access and private riverfront soaking tubs throughout the day and all evening. We returned one night for a private soak with Frank and Catherine. Regrettably, the peaceful soaking area with its infinity tub, and what we believed to have been tiny lights gently twinkling like stars from the trees across the river, was too dimly lit to video for you. Of course, camping 20 feet from the water's edge means that I have to get my kayak out onto Elephant Butte Lake. As one of the few large bodies of water in this region, Elephant Butte Lake is a popular stopping point for many migratory birds, and the only place in New Mexico where you can spot pelicans along the shoreline. One of my favorite bird species, the great blue heron, are seemingly everywhere around here. Let me at least get out of the boat, okay? Can I get out of the boat first? Good catch. Following another quick ad break to pay the bills, we'll explore the ruins of 19th century Fort Craig and travel to Hatch in search of the famed New Mexico chili. So stay tuned. The Rio Grande Valley of southern New Mexico was part of the Camino Real, the northernmost of Mexico City's 4 major royal roads that link to San Juan Pueblo near Santa Fe in present-day New Mexico. It was used by travelers from 1598 to 1882, and they feared most the Jornada del Muerto, or Dead Man's Journey section, located here north of Las Cruces, where rough terrain forced travelers to abandon the banks of the Rio Grande and cross 90 miles of barren, flat, waterless Chihuahuan desert. The Jornada del Muerto desert remains almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped, even to the present day. About 45 minutes north of our campsite, following the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo that ended the Mexican-American War, Fort Craig was constructed here to stop attacks on travelers and nearby settlers by Apaches, Navajo, and Comanches. It was named for an officer in the Mexican-American War who died at the hands of deserters in California in 1852. By the time the U.S. Civil War broke out in 1861, Fort Craig had become the largest fort in the Southwest, home to over 2,000 soldiers who fought the Confederates nearby at the Battle of Val Verde. Fort Craig was permanently abandoned in 1885, and the ruins that remain to the present day are maintained by the BLM as the Fort Craig Historic Site. This was the site of Fort Craig's guardhouse and sallyport, a gate wide enough for wagons and mounted troops to pass through. It also served for a time as New Mexico's territorial prison. Perhaps the fort's most impressive remains are those of the commanding officer's quarters. Life here for the enlisted men was uncomfortable and lonely at best, and deadly at worst. The buildings were a constant source of misery to the soldiers, and records reveal litanies of complaints about leaky roofs, crumbling walls and chimneys, crowded conditions, and filth from crumbling dirt roofs and muddy floors. Travel to Socorro, the nearest outpost for personal supplies, took 2 to 3 days. About the same distance south of our campsite in the Rio Grande Valley lies Hatch, a small farming community known worldwide for those famous New Mexico chilies grown here, by irrigating with water supplied in part by Elephant Butte Reservoir. When rolling through Hatch, stopping at Sparky's for their signature green chili cheeseburger or some mouth-watering barbecue with live music on Saturdays is a must. It's also given us the chance to meet up for a meal with our friends Linda and Jamie from the YouTube channel Roaming with Rosie. I'm not exaggerating one bit when I tell you that this is the best burger I've had in a good long time. And they're not afraid to grill it rare upon request either. So we hope that you've enjoyed visiting the Elephant Butte area of south central New Mexico with us. If you like this episode, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comments section, where we love to hear from you after each grand adventure, which we premiere each and every Wednesday evening. Coming up next week, we're going to be heading off further west into Arizona, so if you're not yet a grand adventurer yourself, now is the perfect time for you to go smash that little subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure. We'd be truly honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. So until next Wednesday from Southern Arizona, please remember life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.